to our very own Kate Garraway, who you, I'm sure, remember, allowed cameras to document her story in Finding Derek. It was a film about adjusting to life and coping as her critically ill husband battled COVID in hospital.
Well, a follow-up to that story is on tonight, and it follows Kate and Derek as they embark on a new chapter with their children. Here's an exclusive look at caring for Derek.
One big stretch with lever. Well done, well done, well done, well done, well done, well done, well done. Well done. Well done. Just got to get my hand back. Well done, darling. That is amazing. Come here. Come here. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You did so brilliantly. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Nothing. Just... It's a really good thing. This is really good, what we've done today.
Oh, Kate, it's good to see you. I watched this. I was lucky enough to have a preview of this incredible documentary last night. And you know what? I am just always so overwhelmed by the fact that you do everything for Derek with such enormous love and great humour. You have such a special relationship with him. How is he doing right now?
Well, actually, if I'm looking a bit puffy-eyed this morning, it's not because I've been crying or I've been disturbed for once. It's because my lovely friend Claire Nazir and her husband Chris have been looking after me, and I've slept for the first time in about 2 years. And actually, Derek's sister Di is with Derek, so he's doing good. He's doing good, and he's been having some more tests and some more things which we've been waiting a long time for. Funnily enough, this morning, gosh, my goodness, your program this morning, this with the situation in Ukraine and flooding and all that's going on, I had this feeling of, oh gosh, people will want to hear about this again this morning. And I was just texting one of the friends that works for one of the charities that have been really helpful with us, saying, oh God, I feel like this is a bad morning to be taking up time. And she was like, no, don't say that. We need you to take up time,
well,
because
that's the
we
thing,
need the
Kate.
story to be told,
Exactly.
you know. So,
and I think that the key thing is the title, isn't it? Caring for Derek. Because this isn't just your story, Kate. This isn't just Derek's experience. What you reflect and what comes over so strongly in the documentary, in the new programme, is the way that you, once you leave hospital with all the support system, all the medical care that is there on the ward, and you come home where you hope the recovery, of course, will continue, you're then thrown into this labyrinth of a care system that you have to then navigate, and everybody in the same situation is having to navigate, and that's an emotional trial of its own.
It is, and it's, you know, I think probably very challenging for someone in Derek's situation where he has been affected and impacted by a disease that actually 2 years on, we're beginning to get more clues on. Obviously, fantastic work's been done to prevent people getting as sick as Derek or losing their lives, as so many hundreds of thousands and millions across the world have. But it's actually understanding how to progress, plus all those people who are impacted. That's just an extraordinary moment you saw there, by the way, from the documentary. And you see it here again, if you just watch this moment, because I didn't actually see this until I watched the footage. And it's the first moment that Derek moves his arm. It makes me cry now. This is the day he came home back in April 21. He moves his arm to hug anyone. It happens to be Bill. If you see, as Bill goes forward there, he moves his arm towards him. And that is the first moment we've seen him be able to activate a movement prompted by emotion, not just someone going, can you just move your arm to the left or right? And because I was outside dealing with bringing in all the kit of medication, I only saw that when we watched the footage back a few months ago, and I burst into tears. And of course, that was the reason for bringing him home at the time. You know, we wanted to bring him home because he had a year in a ward being treated by incredible people in full PPE. He'd plateaued. We still didn't know how to make his organs and his neurology better. The doctors didn't, and nobody did. But we thought coming home would stimulate it. And that has been amazing. but there's so much more needed. And if anybody, you know, people will be waking up this morning having found that they've got an illness, which is going to transform the way they can look after themselves and live their lives. And there will be family around them thinking, how do we cope? And the hospitals and the nurses in the NHS are extraordinary. And the social care system, the people that work within it, are extraordinary. The carers themselves and the people that administer it. We often praise carers, and my goodness, they need it. Yeah. But actually, the people that are trying to organize it are also incredible. It's just horribly underfunded, horribly complicated, and needs help, because I think I'm quite pushy. You may have spotted this, Susanna. I'm quite persistent, and the fight kind of goes on. But my goodness, it is like you're bashing your head against a brick wall. And even 2 days ago, I discovered something that I should have known about in April 2021. You know, so yeah, it is very, very tough. But hopefully also hopeful. Hopefully also hopeful that, you know. Sorry.
That's all right. No, not at all. I just want to ask you something. You see, I've known you for about 5 or 6 years, but I don't know you nearly as well as Susanna and the team here. They know you extremely well. So let me ask you this question, as someone who's at a slight distance. This bombshell that went off in your lives 2 years ago, do you still find yourself from time to time, or have you ever found yourself basically looking up at the stars and thinking, why us? Why did it have to happen this badly to us?
Well, there are moments when you think, why did Derek have to be so unlucky? Why did he have to catch COVID so early when there were no treatments, when everybody was still focusing very much on lungs and not realizing how COVID could get into the brain, to the nervous system, to the organs elsewhere? And, you know, why did it have to be before the vaccines? There are moments when you think that, but they're very fleeting now, Richard, to be honest with you, because I know the doctors that treated him did everything they could, and I've lived with them trying to save his life, and others lost their lives. I mean, people far less sick than Derek lost their lives, far less affected in terms of lungs, lost their lives. And somehow Derek's fight fought on. And I think you see in the documentary, Darcy is asked, I'm not there when she's asked it, and Darcy is asked, do you ever feel embarrassed or sad that Dad is now in this situation amongst your friends? A good question to ask a teenager. And she says, no, I'm just really proud because he got through it and he's fighting on. And that's the most important thing. And he's had the chance to fight on. So I kind of think, not why did we have to be so badly affected, but you could also think, why are we so lucky that he's had the chance to continue when so many others haven't?
Kate, I'm sure you'll have seen the front page of The Sun this morning. My Derek's 11,000-mile trip of hope, reporting what is mentioned in the documentary tonight, that you've gone to Mexico for some absolutely groundbreaking new treatment. What can you tell us about that?
Yes, so it's all come about actually because of the first documentary. So this is a doctor who works in the US, and he's been working for 13 years on clinical trials of this treatment in the US, and he is just at the point of awaiting for approval on it. And of course, 11 years ago, there was no such thing as COVID. So he's been looking at it for other things. And I can't say too much about it because I'm bound not to. But when he saw the documentary, he'd already started helping people with the impact of COVID. And he saw it and saw Derek and said, I can help this man. So there then began sort of months of research from me to look into it, to make sure that it was very safe, because the last thing we wanted to do was anything that was negative. And in the end, the most logistically, because Derek's not in a state, I mean, we hadn't even really taken him out of the house at this point. So it was very difficult to get him abroad. And actually, he has a center in Monterrey, which is an extraordinary center in Mexico for medical work. And it was easier to get him there, to get him anywhere else where he practices normally. So we went to Monterrey, and we're about less than a quarter of a way through this treatment. So I don't want to say too much, because if this works, it will be world hope that we get, because it will have an impact not just for sufferers of long COVID, not just for people for the areas where he's been researching anyway, but for all sorts of conditions. So it's a massive hope for us. We're very lucky that because I do the job I do, Derek, there was a documentary, so he heard of Derek, but also it's because he is a very extreme case, and he's therefore, sounds awful, but he's therefore useful as a trial, because if he can make progress with Derek, then it offers a lot of hope for a lot of people with far less impact from COVID and from other things. So he lost out on the trials for all the steroids at the very beginning of catching COVID because they weren't approved for trial at that point, and he's lost out on things like the vaccine. So I feel very lucky that he's been able to get some help from this. I mean, it was a heck of a thing, and I have to pay tribute, if you don't mind, to British Airways, because wow, I mean, the help they gave us, obviously we funded our own trip, but they gave us so much support, and they're a massively caring team, as they do for lots of people who travel with severe injury and disability. So I just want to give them a little thank you. But it was amazing, and we're seeing flickers of hope, but also what it's led to as more information about how we can help Derek in a very practical way. So yeah. Really?
Well, in the 30 seconds or so that we have left, Kate, that was a fascinating answer, yes, by the way, fascinating answer. One of the great things that comes out of the documentary, and in some of the comments that you made to go alongside it, is that for all the damage that this damn thing has done to him, it's done to your lovely husband, he's still in there. You know that Derek is still in there. You get these signs, you get these flickers that he's there. Yeah? Yeah.
You do. You get signs and flickers that he's absolutely there. You then get periods, and it's still unclear whether that's pure physical fatigue, neurological fatigue, or just what COVID, as people who've had COVID know, that you just get this extreme brain fog. And what that is, we don't know. But in the gaps in between, he's 100% Derek Draper. And, I managed to get him to an area of the house that I hadn't been able to wheel him to before, which is the place where he used to do some work. And I opened the door and said, there you go. That's he used to call it the operations room, because it was a little box room that he worked in. And he said, disgraceful, because it was so untidy. So he is very much there. He's very much there. Love it.
Well, Kate,
all people who are carers and people who have dealing with those that are afflicted by COVID and by other things will see themselves and get some hope from this documentary tonight. And I hope they watch it, and I hope they let me know what they think.
They certainly should. And Kate, all our love to you both.
Thank you. And thank you to all of you, because you've been so supportive. Everyone at GMB has throughout the whole thing, and you know how supportive you've been. So thank you to all of you. And thank you for giving me time on a busy morning.
Yeah, it's such an important story. Caring for Derek is on ITV at 9 o'clock tonight. Our love to all of you, Kate. Thanks ever so much.